Welcome to Women in Paint. Whether your paint story is dripless or an old school mix of project management, business ownership, or modern estimation, the stories of women in paint are now part of the industry's rising success. We'll educate, encourage, and promote diversity and gender equality by giving you a behind-the-scenes look at our proven skills, business acumen, and driving force that propels anyone to find meaningful opportunities and a career path that challenges lives through paint. Now let's welcome your host, Michael Cheney.
Welcome to the show. I am Michael Cheney, owner of No Drip Painting, where we are changing lives through paint. And I have a treat for us today because I've got Erin on with me from Breakthrough Academy. And I say it's a treat because we are going to be talking about the topic of hiring. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, this has been a big one. I'm still learning. I'm trying to get better. And she is going to share all the information. Erin, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Michael.
You got it. So I just found out that you're a big Beyonce fan. And I love you even more for that. But listen, you're in the painting industry. You do coaching and all these cool things at Breakthrough. And I just have to say, you know, if you don't know about Breakthrough Academy, you've got to look into it. They do coaching, and Erin's going to give us the real spiel. But I can tell you from a personal experience with Breakthrough, the content that they provide, and listen, you don't even have to be a member. There is enormous amounts of content. I have trained their online trainings completely free. I have sent my team to them. I mean, I can't tell you even how many trainings we've been through. It's quite a bit. We use Breakthrough Academy all the time to learn. So give us the official statement breakdown of what is Breakthrough Academy.
Totally. So what Breakthrough Academy is, we are operational systems specialists. We help businesses scale through better operational systems. And when I say businesses, strictly in contracting. So we help contracting businesses to scale through operational systems. If it is a system that affects your people and their productivity, we click in on that and help you to build out better systems. So we're not a tech company. I don't mean technology systems. I mean people-facing operational systems.
There you go. And you've spent some years in the painting industry. So let's kick this off. Tell us about how you wound up in this crazy industry and kind of where you've developed this passion that has led you to where you are today.
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, I come by it honestly. I'm happy that I'm talking, with you, with the PCA, with the Women in Paint. I work at Breakthrough Academy now, but for 17 years, I worked with college pro painters. So maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but this is quite a unique student-run painting franchise system that existed for 50 years. And I was a part of it for 17 years, which started when I was in university getting my biochemistry degree. So that obviously you can see the connection here. I have the degree. It was a grind. I've never done anything with it. And in the middle of my undergraduate degree, it was like this decision point. Do I go and do what all of my school peers are doing in the summer, which is work in a lab and try to get a research professor? That was like mind numbing to me. It's like, I cannot be in the lab all summer. It'll kill me now. And then I fell into an interview process with college pro painters where I could run a business in my hometown and be outside and lead a team. And I didn't have experience in painting, but I certainly am somebody that has sort of that leadership stripe in me. I was an athlete. I was a camp counselor. I was a lifeguard. And so it aligned with the type of person I was. And I dove in thinking this will be a wild ride for one summer. I'm in, I'm out. Hopefully I can make a go of it and sort of cover the bill for my undergraduate degree. So that was the plan. And then I was there for almost 2 decades.
Wait, Erin, did you start this off by saying biochemistry?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not even going to get into that because that's way outside of my realm of thinking, but that's pretty amazing. So you transcend into the painting business. And I think it's important to just acknowledge most people don't grow up saying, hey, I'm going to be in the painting industry. Yeah. Sounds like that was true for you. So you shift over, you get some experience. And talk about how you've landed this.
So I'm for years, right? I'm at College Pro, which is really like an incredible business and leadership boot camp, which would be what a lot of people don't know under the hood. But along that journey, I had the privilege of working with incredible leaders, incredible mentors, and then life takes you on different journeys. I had a few kids, and then you start going is this where I want to be? Are there going to be professional changes? And actually, Danny Kerr, who's one of our co-founders at Breakthrough Academy, reached out to me. the guys that built Breakthrough Academy, I know from my history at College Pro. So these were people that I met along the way at College Pro when they were young entrepreneurs, understanding how to become better leaders and better business operators. So that's the connection to this company and why I find myself here now, where, we've just looked for peers that had the right fit for the business they were building. And here I am. So I've got this biochemistry degree, lots of painting and contracting adjacent experience. And now I lead a content marketing team. So I don't have education in it, but a lot of street education, if you will, a lot of learning by doing. And I mean, to summarize, I would describe myself as a business generalist. I've touched a lot of different layers of business, and we're going to talk recruiting today, but that's been something I've touched immensely in my career. Like, I used to coach 24 entrepreneurs every year to hire their entire painting crew. So like, through that layer, I was supporting them and coaching them to hire anywhere from 200 to 250 painters each year, elevate people to foreman. And now in my role, like, I hire specialists onto my team using the exact same hiring principles. Roles are relevant if you have the skill set.
Wonderful. And that is exactly what we're going to dig into. And I want to say that Erin is going to be presenting at the Women in Paint event, which is less than 2 weeks away. And she's really going to be able to have more time to unpack this topic we're on. But let's go ahead and get it started. So recruiting, let's start with recruiting. Does it have to be as scary as I think it is?
No, it doesn't have to be as scary as you think it is. Like, there are some real variables right now that make it tricky, but there's also some huge upside. And I'm going to keep this like painting, contracting centric. We as an industry are pretty bad at it. So getting better is actually just pretty incremental steps. Like, it's such an afterthought for most businesses that putting a little bit of deliberate focus with a bit of clarity around what you should be doing can make big moves. So is it as scary as you think it is? No, but it absolutely requires a bit of thought and focus, which is hard to do when you don't know where to place your focus and you run a business that has you pulled in a million directions, right? I think that's pretty relatable.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Maybe you can speak to this, but the painting industry, since in a lot of ways, look, we're still underdeveloped, right? But we've got great companies like Breakthrough Academy and the PCA that are helping with the education piece. But my experience in hiring, and I joke about it being a daunting task. I've gotten better at it, right? And you have to get better at it to build out a team. But there was a time when my hiring or recruiting stemmed around the fact that I was doing it out of a sense of urgency. It's like, oh my gosh, I need someone and I need them now. And obviously I learned the hard way that that's not actually how you hire. So why don't we start there when we talk about recruiting? What does that mean? What are we looking for and when are we doing it?
Can I set some context maybe before we dive down?
I love it.
That might make people feel a little more sanity with where they are right now. Like, there's something important happening environmentally that people may or may not realize. Like, recruiting is tough and the labor market is tough. Now, it's been tough for a while. Like, this labor shortage, I think we like to talk about that this is a new trend. It's been around for well over a decade, but it got a bit worse in 2020. We all know what was going on there, but it's really this like infusion of like 40% cash printed and injected into the North American economy. Like, there's more money than labor hours to do the work. And because so much of that cash injection is tied to people's homes, where we as contractors do our work, there's a disproportionate challenge for contractors. Like, contractors were hit harder than other industries because we work on homes. And now there's this inflated value in homes without enough labor dollars to service them. So if you're feeling like this is tough, you got to own it. Like, that's the context and you have to go figure it out. But it might make you feel better to know, like, there are some real challenges at play here in this particular space. So I don't know. I think it's comforting to know sometimes that it's like, you own it, but like, there is some shit that makes it harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then there's this other piece of important context. And it's what you just talked about, where you're like, we used to hire from a place of urgency, which is, again, super common. You're like, I need somebody, or I just lost somebody, or we've booked way more work in the next 6 months than we expected, and we need a few more bodies. How do we find them quickly if we don't really know what we're looking for, how to do that effectively? So we, like, Breakthrough Academy works with, right now we're working with about 600 companies painting being one of the big categories, but across all of contracting. And like, it's really interesting when you get to see patterns at a high level. The other piece of this is like marketing and sales are often the golden goose in these businesses. People rush to invest time and money and focus on marketing and sales, believing that that's what everything trickles down from. So we actually look at budgets and we look at business plans, and it's a pretty common thing that people say, recruiting's hard, recruiting's a problem. It's one of my biggest problems. And then you're like, okay, so how much are you investing in recruiting? The budget line is always $0. If it's anything, it might be $50 or $500 compared to like a 3 to 8% marketing line, right? And then when you ask what the time investment is, it's like, well, when we need somebody, it's like all hands on deck. We try to figure it out, but these are like fits and spurts. So that's pretty commonplace, the economic factors, and then the reality that we aren't allocating budget or time to recruiting. So then you go like, well, how can we expect this to be different if we're not putting any resources toward it, right?
Right.
So that's just going on behind the scenes. And if you're in that zone, like, don't feel any guilt about it. Like, that is just common. You probably don't really know how to get out of that zone or how to do it differently. But hey, we can help. There's lots of people in the industry that can help point in the right direction. So that's why, like, let's share. So
That's right.
That's my preamble. I don't know if can you relate to that in any?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the other thing I think it's important to mention, especially if we think about our Women in Paint group, is that, we've got a lot of folks that are just starting. They might be between that $0 and $500,000 mark, where at that time, you don't have a lot of cash flow. Maybe it's because you're not tracking your numbers. You're not really sure even how to track your numbers. So you don't know if you've got money to put towards recruiting. And let's be honest, when you're just getting started and you're probably stressed out wearing all the hats, sometimes the last thing you're thinking about is recruiting. And that's where we get in trouble, because all of a sudden you need someone, but you didn't have a plan in place. So maybe we can talk about this, I think, just to be a little interesting. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say. What if we talk about this from the angle of you're actually in the beginning stages? What if you're between the 0 and $1 million? How do you create some sort of recruiting system in your business?
Yeah. Well, the great bonus is I got some stuff I can give you for free that will help you create a system. But I think let's get some perspective on this.
Yeah.
You will, in that growth phase of business, invariably learn how to market and sell to your clients. You'll figure that out. It's a non-negotiable, or your business goes by the wayside. And guess what? Recruiting is the exact same process, framed a bit differently. So a lot of people think about recruiting as a thing. Like, I need a hire yesterday. I have to go figure out how to get it up on the job boards and just get a person. Recruiting is not a thing. It's a pretty deliberate series of things. It is a campaign. So if we're talking about marketing and sales, like, it is a marketing campaign for a person versus a job. And you learn how to drive, whether you know it or not, a marketing campaign in your business that helps you to figure out, how do I figure out who my client is? How do I go and put up an ad that attracts them? How do I go and do an estimate? How do I sell that job? How do I produce that job? Right? Like, so that job cycle that we're used to really through a marketing lens is the exact same approach for recruiting, but people don't really think about it that way. So recruitment's a campaign. It's better done when it's always on. So it's something that you're persistently doing. And there's some really easy hacks. Like, I've got some tools I can talk about. I want to talk about the process that you really need to think about, and we've got tools that support it. But there's also some easy things you can do with social media. Like, there's a lot of really take their social media and focus it on the projects and the clients. Your website and your advertising is better placed for that. Your social channels are a really interesting opportunity to build an employer brand and show your team at work and show what they do, which A, builds trust with customers, and B, helps other people to start looking at you as a place they'd like to work when you show the people in the company.
Absolutely. So, and you know what? I kind of have a firsthand account of that, because one thing we do on our social media, and I don't know that, I think we just kind of accidentally did this because my team has always been so important to me, but it turns out it was a good thing to do, is, when you show your team, you are inadvertently showing people that you actually care about your team. right? There's a difference between showing a house that you painted beautifully and showing that house with your team there, right? The compliments that we've gotten at my business is, wow, you guys really care about your team. And we're like, yeah, actually we do. Oh, and they figured that out because they're plastered all over our social media.
Yeah.
And I think I'll just say, social media, especially when you're just getting started and you don't have a lot of funds, you're probably running your own social media. It's like this sweat equity type of setup. And just even getting a little bit guidance like you're giving now, Erin, on, hey, show the team while you're also showing those projects. I think that is like so invaluable. And it's
Yeah.
also something we can all do. And it's not really going to cost any money
Mhm.
necessarily.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we all have the $1,000 computer in our pocket, right? Ready, set, go. So yeah, that's just easy, low hanging fruit. But if we take it back a step, if we want to talk a little bit about the process or how do you actually mobilize this and start getting better at recruiting, it's actually starting to build out a process that you need to go through. So I'd love to dive into that and just give you a sense at a high level because it's not just we're desperate, who's got 2 feet in a heartbeat. Like that's how we end up with really flaky employees that you feel good when you hire them, but they leave 2 weeks later or 2 months later and leave you in a bigger problem than you started with, right? Or they burn trust on your team. We don't want those people. So
That's right.
what do we hear our coaches say often? There's a lot of bad recruiting decisions made. And then there's also this struggle. People take too long to get rid of people that they made bad decisions. Quick, bad recruiting decisions often linger way too long to get rid of. So you're better to spend longer time recruiting to retain somebody, even though it's painful when you need them now. So I'll say that, and then maybe we just dive into like how this actually looks in terms of a campaign or the steps that go into it and what's often missed. People do this
So
and people do
sorry,
the
just real quick, just to build this out in case anyone's just now joining us. We've got Erin here from Breakthrough Academy. We're talking about recruiting and hiring. And the first kind of topic we hit on was kind of just what you can do with your social media in terms of showing your team. And actually, I should take it a step back. Really, what you said, Erin, that's super important, and people don't always think like this, is that who your ideal customer is, in some way how to get in front of them, and you've got to think along those same lines when you're talking about a team. Who do you want on your team? Do you want people that align with your values? That's huge, right? And then the step before that is, what are your values, right? So we're talking about this whole setup. We often are forced to do it when it comes to knowing who our customer is, but now we're talking about, you got to know who you're trying to get on the team.
Totally. Yes. Like that's the perfect place to start. You got to figure out who your ideal candidate is. And we talk about that through like an actual template, an actual process of building an ideal candidate profile. We're not splitting the atom here. We're talking like a pretty simple Word document that's a bit of a paint by number. It's like, what are the skills, abilities, and values you are looking for in somebody? And then what do they need, want, and like? So it's like it's a mixture of your needs and their needs, so that you can get really clear on who you're looking for, because it's not just anybody or everybody. It's specific to a role and it's specific to your business, right? And people go, great, ideal candidate profile, I have no time. Well, you're going to have to start carving time to do this. And if recruiting is a pain point, like start 1 hour a week, like invest 1 hour a week into chipping away at it, and start with who the best people already are in your business. Like you are building an ideal candidate profile to find more of them. So you look at your team now. If the team is 4 people, if the team is 10 people, 20 people, it still applies. You kind of go, okay, if I could make a carbon copy of a person or the best characteristics in 2 or 3 people on my team, what would that look like? That's what you start building into this ideal candidate profile. So it really informs what you're looking for, what they care about, and what makes them tick. Like a great example, or one that I connect really well with, having been an athlete in my past. And like, I think a lot of us know there's certain, like if you're an athlete, you tend to be a great person to have on the team because you understand, you put in the time, effort, and practice to get better at something is a process you have to go through. You understand something about goal setting and execution. You often have leadership skills, like you can work well as a team or you can influence a team. So that's a great example. If you got an archetype who's an athlete and a great performer on your team, you start figuring out those characteristics and you sit down with that person and say, hey, why do you like this job? What do you like about it? Start filling in the blanks there to build this ideal candidate profile. Ultimately, you're just trying to figure out the type of person you're looking for with more clarity.
Yeah.
Don't worry about getting it perfect on the first try. Like with all this, something's better than nothing. I'm quite happy to go out on a limb here and say like 99% of painters do not hire through the lens of an ideal candidate profile.
No, not at all. And you know what? You've simplified that in such a way you can wrap your mind around. Who's your top performer? Who on your team are you like, man, this is my best person. They've got a great attitude. They show up. That is actually who you're looking for, and drawing this information out of them and say, hey, why do you like it here? And what qualities does so-and-so have that I'm trying to replicate? I mean, that's such a simple way to start this process.
Super simple. And we do that. I mean, we're hiring roles on our team. We will actually sit down and create an ideal candidate profile. And then we will write names in a little table. Who on the team do I think I'm looking for? And I'm like, I want a bit of Graham, and I want a bit of Caitlin, and I want a little bit of Dan. And I will write down the characteristics of each of these team members that like I really think it makes sense for this role. Because I can visualize it now because I work with these people and I see how they carry themselves and I see how people relate to them. So it's like, it becomes really visual when it's linked to a person. And if that person doesn't exist in your business, don't worry. They most certainly exist in your social network, right?
Yeah.
That person may exist in or outside of your business, whoever you're modeling it after. So yeah, start with somebody you're familiar with. And then this is like the piece of gold that everything else builds off of, right? Now that you've got more clarity who you're looking for, you can build a job ad that's better. I mean, look at a job board. Pick any job board you want and look at it and like see how excited you feel by the job ads you're reading. It's not exciting. They're really bland. They're all the same. So this is where it starts. I think it's really easy, or there's a huge opportunity. Like to stand out on a job board these days is quite in the contracting space is so easy. They're so bad. So
that is a great point.
If status quo is terrible, like being good is like just a small step away. So think about how you can write your job ad if you know something about the person you're looking for. You can use different words like looking for a leader on my painting team, looking for somebody who loves being a team player, who loves getting the ball into the end zone, who loves charging down goals. Like, you know, if that's that athlete type, you can play into that and you can use some different language around it. So just the characteristics you're looking for, you try to speak to those needs and wants of that person and build and link it to the values of your brand. It's not rocket science. It's usually like a slightly sexier ad title and then some stuff above the fold that speaks to the person, not the job. Everybody loves to feature blast the job. You get this, 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 and this. You do this, 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 and this. And it's like, cool.
But and like, you get $20 an hour for that, right?
Yeah. Like, what's it going to feel and look like there? Tell me a bit about how me as this star performer is going to want to be there.
And you know what? So, I mean, think about this for a minute. You know, you've created your ideal candidate. You now are listing qualities that you're looking for, like leadership and all those things you mentioned. You know what this is going to do? It's going to deter those people that say, and I've had people say this to me, well, I don't get out of bed for anything less than $50 an hour. Yet they're looking for a job, mind you, right? But, you know, if you're asking for leaders and these, you know, characteristic traits, you're not going to attract people who make comments like, well, I don't get out of bed for less than $50 an hour. Yeah. Can you kind of speak to that about this? You're actually deterring all of the people that you do not want to respond to this ad.
Yeah. It's like one of your first gates, right?
Yeah.
I think when the labor market feels tight, we're really concerned with volume. But if I'm a busy entrepreneur, like quite frankly, I do not want 100 applicants if 95 of them are bogus because it wastes my time sifting through them. I would rather 5 reasonably qualified applications where there's 2 standouts. So think about it this way too. I think sometimes we want more leads. but we want more of the right leads. To get more of the right leads, you usually have to look at a smaller volume. So like I would challenge people to get rid of the like, I just want a ton of applicants in favor of like, I want fewer, better applicants. And you're absolutely right. This ideal candidate profile with a really purposeful job ad starts to attract the right people and repel the wrong people. Like we don't need to waste our time on the phone or in our inbox with the wrong people.
Right. And I
See,
mean, I have to say, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but AI is such a big thing. And I've been to all these trainings. I'm trying to figure it out. And, we use Chat GP and all these things. I mean, listen, you can use some of these services to help create your ads. If you're not the most creative and you can't come up with a creative title, if you learn how to operate Chat GPT and ask the right questions, you can probably get some help along the way.
you can use your ideal candidate profile as your Chat GPT prompt, right?
There you go.
You got to do the human side of it first to tell the
Mhm.
machine what to do. And then you do still have to customize it and tweak it. But you're absolutely right. Like there is some really low hanging fruit here to like move it to the next step once you've got clarity. So, and there's actually a bunch of recruiting companies that we've been really looking at, and a lot of them apply AI specifically to help write the job posts, but they all say if you want them to be effective, you do still have to go and customize them. Like let it do 80% of the work, but you have to add a human touch and you have to make sure it's values aligned with your business. So, but you're right. That's a great, that's a great hack on the job ad writing thing. This is like where you need to get to so you can actually start advertising, right? And generating leads and generating applicants. Which is the next step. And it's done with variable degrees of success, I will say, right? You want to do things that are both passive and active. So you absolutely take advantage of job boards and put money toward the problem. Like this is a smart place to make an investment to boost your ads, to get more traffic. Like people just put them up and hope that organic gets them there. Like we are prepared to invest money in generating leads for our customers. We should start becoming open to investing money to generate leads for our team. Like your opportunity cost with an empty truck, or if you're down one crew, is astronomical. If you truly knew that opportunity cost, you'd probably throw $5,000 at every job ad, but that's not how we think right now. So you put money behind it, you get it up on job boards, you get it up on social media, but you also need to work your team. Like you should be networking with your team. Once you have the ideal candidate profile, it's like, hey guys, do you know anybody like this? Can I get everybody in the office? I'm going to pay for a meal. We're all going to open Facebook or Instagram. And I want each of you to message 10 people in your network right now that might be looking for work and might be this type of person. Very few people do that. Like, but if you bring the team together and you do it together, you can actually network through your team in a much more likely manner than if you just say, hey guys, we've got a position to fill, like, please help. Right?
That's a great idea. And if you think about it from the perspective of the team, they want to work with people like them too, right? If you've got a great team, they don't want losers join the team. And if they know people and they're friends, I mean, that's what I'll say about my team is I've done that. Now I didn't bring them in and ask them to look through Facebook, but that is now on my list. But I have a team that really knows each other. And you know what? It makes their daily experience much more enjoyable. And they also naturally just want to work hard for each other because, they've become close over the years.
Yeah. Totally. And you know what? This is not a new technique. I mean, my career of 20 years, like we've done something like that all the time. Just the channel has changed, right?
Yeah.
It's just wherever you communicate with your community. Like it used to be more email heavy. Now it might be text, it might be Facebook, it might be TikTok. So it's like wherever they communicate with their peer group, you just want to ask them to sit with you and like reach out to a handful of people. You're right though. Like who doesn't want to work with people they love? But I tell you what people hate is working with people that suck, who are values misaligned, who just like don't feel like your brand. That's a great way to lose your good people that you have now when you bring bad apples on the team. Like, it's just a disaster train. So anyway, I'll say that. And then maybe there's just one other comment that I can say about driving traffic. We don't have that great recruiting muscle in contracting, and we think we have to do it all ourselves. Like most tradespeople kind of grew up doing it themselves, putting in the sweat equity to get the results. you can and should also make an investment in this, and there are specialists who can help you. Like you can look into things like there's a brand called Contractor Staffing Source, HireBus, Rapid Hire Pro. They specifically help contractors to hire people onto their team. If you've got that ideal candidate profile piece of the puzzle built, like there's also great ways to amplify it through specialists. Yeah, you got to spend some money, but this is where you're going to like do the balancing act of, do I have 3 months of 1 hour, 2 hours a week, or do I want to expedite, get like really light the afterburners here so that I can get way more traction this month?
Right.
So there's some opportunities there as well. Like I'm a big fan of get it built well yourself, and then get some specialists to help amplify it or help get it to go further faster.
That's right. We only know what we know. And usually that doesn't mean that we're experts in all areas. So I love that. And I'll tell you what, I know we've like literally only scratched the surface here, but I'm telling you, you gave some good content here. Erin is going to share some links that we're going to add in here for more resources and things like that. But before we run out of time, I want to talk about kind of your presentation at Women in Paint. You're going to build off of what you started here today. Maybe kind of give us an overview of what to expect. So when we're at Women in Paint, we're looking at that agenda and we see Erin Scheel from Breakthrough Academy and the topic is hiring. What are you going to discuss, and like who should attend that session?
So you should attend that session if you feel pain in recruitment, whether that is finding enough applicants, finding the right applicants, or building a team, a bench that's deep that you can keep pulling from. Like if you experience pain in that part of your business, like come to the session. We're going to give you a different layer of the talk we had today. I'm going to go much deeper into these concepts, and there's some additional parts of this process, and I will connect you to something super tangible every step of the way. Like I love going to conferences. I love building community. I love talking to people. I love motivational speakers. We're really tangible and practical when we drive a session like this, because if you give all motivation, people leave feeling excited and they have no clue what to go do. So I'm going to give you tools to connect to every step of this process. You don't know how to start an ideal candidate profile? Here's a template. You don't know what a good job ad looks like? Here's a template. So I've got like tangible example files for each part of this process that you can have for free, so that getting started is way easier. Like starting is hard. Starting's really—
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Erin, I got one last question for you. I ask everyone this, and here it goes. So, you know, you show up for all of us contractors, you show up for your family, you've got kids, all the things. What do you do to take care of yourself that you can continue to show up for all of us and help us, you know, leave our mark in this world? What do you do to take care of yourself?
I bring my community together. Community is probably the thing. Community is my religion. So bringing together my community and doing things with my people, and just being a catalyst for that. So that's what I do to look after myself. And I didn't know you were going to ask that, but it's really timely. I have an annual tradition. I host an annual apple cider press. I live in a pretty rural town. Like this sounds super folksy, I know, but it's a tradition my parents started in the 70s. So I have an antique apple press. It's apple season right now, depending on when you're listening. So on Sunday, everybody and anybody in my community who wants to comes to our house with apples and empty containers, and we press apple cider.
Oh, wow.
Usually there's 120 plus people who show up. And so that's the kind of stuff I do anytime I can to look after myself and my family and like be a part of a community.
That is so cool. If someone wants to get in touch with Breakthrough Academy, what is the best way to do that?
btacademy.com. Set up a call there, book in. You'll talk to a real human. You won't talk to a bot. Like you'll talk to Dave or Sarah or Brendan or Paul, and they're awesome. So that's the best way. And then just if you want to go deeper on what we talked about, there's a link in the show notes. You like listening while you drive? Like I'm queuing you up with 6 killer podcasts that are just going to take you on this journey of like how to become better at recruiting if you're a contractor. So
wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. You nailed it. And if you want to talk to Erin in person, you've got your chance. You just got to come down to Hollywood Beach, Florida. And I mean, who doesn't want to go to Florida, work on the tan, Margaritaville? I heard at 5 p.m. they've got free margaritas. I don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to find out really soon. Erin, thanks for joining me, and everyone else, we will see you next time on the show.
Totally. Thanks, Michael. See you at Women in Paint.